watch, because I probably won't be able to stop cussing. But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated, and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are the leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all, all right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure, you understand what democracy looks like, and this ain't it.
Concerned about the DOJ being weaponized by the White House. I am concerned about the FBI being used for purposes outside of our domestic security and maintaining peace at home. So, weaponization of the Department of Justice. This phrase, the weaponization of government, is something that has been overly used and repeated by my Republican colleagues. They use it as a war cry, a battle call, to justify dismantling federal agencies and the purging of thousands of hardworking, dedicated federal servants who swore an oath to protect the Constitution.
Democrats' approach to the Trump administration has been modeled by Crockett. She told Elon Musk exactly how she felt today, and it was the epitome of being unrepentant, all out, and unreserved. I can't say a word because this video will be demonetized and removed, but Jasmine Crockett did, and we'll see that she told Elon that it was ideal. You will feel much better as a result. I've seen it about 10 times, and in this brief clip we'll get into a flawless critique of Elon Musk, but before we do, I would like to ask you to quickly like this video. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button if you like our channel. It means a lot to me and goes a long way. Before we watched that video, we had a chance to listen to Jasmine Crockett's speech at a new subcommittee today, where she blasted Donald Trump for using the DOJ as a weapon alongside Pam Bondi and Elon Musk.
We got to take a look.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This is my first time serving as a ranking member of a subcommittee during a hearing, and I am grateful to be here today. I look forward to working with you and the rest of this committee on behalf of the American people. Before I was elected to Congress or to the Texas House of Representatives, I was a public defender and civil rights attorney by trade. I know about the Department of Justice and what they're supposed to be doing. I am also very concerned by a rogue DOJ, or one that is not beholden to the American people. I am very concerned about the DOJ being weaponized by the White House. I am concerned about the FBI being used for purposes outside of our domestic security and maintaining peace at home. So, weaponization of the Department of Justice. This phrase, the weaponization of government, is something that has been overly used and repeated by my Republican colleagues. They use it as a war cry, a battle call, to justify dismantling federal agencies and the purging of thousands of hardworking, dedicated federal servants who swore an oath to protect the Constitution and the rule of law. If the purpose of this hearing today is to examine and expose the weaponization of government, specifically the weaponization of Department of Justice, then it is essential that we understand what exactly weaponization means. Fortunately, history is kind to us. Last Congress, the House Judiciary Committee held numerous hearings on this notion of weaponization. And in those hearings, Republicans described weaponization as, quote, corruption, quote, government abuse and political treachery. Having the government act, quote, against people who were innocent and did nothing wrong, quote, targeting people of one political persuasion. And as one of my colleagues aptly described, quote, if you speak up about the abuses you are seeing, excuse me, or are sharing information that may not fall in line with the political narrative, you will be suspended without pay, have your security clearance revoked, or your life will be turned upside down. It's pretty clear that the MO is, if you don't comply, they will retaliate. If you don't agree with their political agenda, you get suspended. They do it in such a way to deter others from speaking up and speaking out. These are not my words. These are not the words of Ranking Member Raskin or Leader Jeffries. These are the words of congressional Republicans. This is what they believe embodies weaponization. I am the first to admit that I don't often agree with many things that my Republican colleagues say, but wholeheartedly concur with their descriptions here. What concerns me, however, is the inability of my colleagues on the other side to connect the dots that are in front of them, while the rest of America is watching as this DOJ weaponization takes hold right before our eyes. And to be clear, what we are witnessing happening before us satisfies the descriptions used by my Republican colleagues. Corruption. Any lawyer with a good head on their shoulders will tell you that the recent attempt by Trump's DOJ to drop the corruption case against
We only need another 1,000. Jasmine Crockett would likely address every issue facing this nation, including those related to messaging and governance. I am really grateful for the tone she has adopted. We are thrilled to have her on the show. Because of this, I hope to have her on the show soon, because I have some exciting news to share about some upcoming work we're doing with Congress, so keep an eye out for that. Now is a good time to press that notification bell if you haven't already. There will be some significant news soon, but let's stop playing around. Jasmine Crockett is saying this. Let's be straightforward. She was like that, right? Here, what would you say to Elon Musk directly if you could proceed? Okay. That's all. How could we only view that clip once? Why didn't we watch that clip more than once?
This is why I'm not going to be able to preach, because I probably won't be able to stop cussing. But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated, and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are the leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all, all right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like.
It made me smile, so let's watch it again. What would you say to Elon Musk directly if you could go away? I only ask Democrats to do this. That's not true. Actually, we should ask a lot, and I ask a lot. They were chosen by us. We ought to have high expectations of our party. Our representatives ought to be held to high standards. Hakeem Jeffrey was on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, and he mentioned that he's seeing a lot of protests and complaints from the far. I don't want to constantly criticize him, but I don't think it's wrong. And if you believe that there are people who want you to expose Eric Adams's corruption and accuse him of being a tool of Donald Trump, you should fight back against Republicans. Some people will even argue that Democrats are helpless. You may need to use your hands if you believe that to be far-left criticism. That's reasonable. That's not left. Yes, we must push back. It is necessary for us to expose the corruption. We must use our voices every day, and we cannot legitimize them. It's being done by Jasmine Crockett. An excellent example would be if someone gave her a trophy or something. The next time I see her, I will bring her a trophy as a thank you. Simply put, I don't, other than talking about her every day, which we will undoubtedly be doing, and will do more after watching the remainder of that clip. I'm not sure how else to express our gratitude.
Of the prosecution on Mayor Adams' ability to support critical ongoing federal efforts to protect the American people from the disastrous effects of unlawful mass immigration and resettlement. Put differently, the Department of Justice wants Mayor Adams to give fealty to Trump and also use him to execute Trump's immigration policy in New York City. The blatant corruption of this quid pro quo alone should warrant this subcommittee to investigate the current weaponization of this Department of Justice. But this is far from the only example of weaponization occurring before us. Next, government abuse and political treachery. Make no mistake, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove ordering Brian Driscoll, the then acting director of the FBI, to turn over a list of not just current but also former FBI staff who were assigned, quote, at any time to investigations and or prosecutions related to the events that occurred at or near the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, end quote. It is a clear illustration of government abuse targeting employees they wrongfully claim are political adversaries. In fact, rather than utilize the FBI's time and resources to protect America from cyber attacks, terrorism, and other violent crimes, Trump's DOJ is choosing to spend resources to build loyalty to Trump. If that is not government abuse, I just don't know what is. Third, the view that the government is acting, quote, against people who were innocent and did nothing wrong. For those of you who may not be familiar, when career prosecutors and staff at DOJ are assigned to cases, they take these tasks on not because of power or politics, but because it is quite simply part of the job. It's rare that prosecutors get every case they want. Instead, prosecutors and staff are assigned cases because of their capacity, experience, and expertise. But where we see commitment to the Constitution and the rule of law, the Trump DOJ sees reason for retribution. This has already taken shape in various forms, but notably, on January 27th, Trump's then acting Attorney General James McHenry fired DOJ officials on those of which worked on federal criminal investigations into Trump. Let me repeat this. They fired DOJ officials who did nothing wrong. These officials simply did their jobs. Now, finally, quote, targeting people of one political persuasion. While I just briefly touch on this point, I want to be very clear with the American people. Within the last 35 days, Trump's DOJ has already sent inquiry letters to Democratic members of Congress for speaking out and criticizing Elon Musk. Our task on this subcommittee today is to conduct real congressional oversight of the Department of Justice, because this notion of weaponization is not simply a threat, it is a reality. The public is worried. Career attorneys are worried. Congress is worried. The world is worried. Every day that passes, the Department of Justice is losing institutional knowledge and exceptional attorneys because of a blind arrogance and vengeance to call out corruption, government abuse, attacks on innocent people, and the targeting of people with different political views. We owe it to everyone to speak the truth, even if the truth is hard to hear. We owe it to us all to preserve our country's rule of law. And the final point that I'll make is that there were a number of attorneys that were brought up in the chairman's opening remarks. Attorney General Letitia James of New York, as well as DA Fani Willis. I do want to point out that each of these women are women that were duly elected in their states, and Fani Willis was just reelected. That is not federal lawfare. That is not weaponization of the federal government. Both of those women work on the state level. And the final point that I'll make is that while they work on state levels, there were only a certain amount of cases that were able to be tried prior to the election. Any cases that did take place, whether they were civil cases or federal cases, I do want to point out, regardless of who brought those cases ultimately, at least the ones that did go, they ultimately went to juries. They went to juries that were full of American citizens, juries that were not asked, are you going to sit here and support Donald Trump and his agenda, or do you have some left-wing agenda? They were given an opportunity to hear the evidence, and they were able to rule based on the evidence that was presented to them. I am someone who misses the courtroom every single day, as I practiced for 17 years before entering into Congress. And if we continue to pretend as if the voices of everyday American citizens don't matter when they have an opportunity to listen to both sides of a case and make a decision, then we really are in for a rude awakening in this country. One thing that we should do as members of Congress is we should preserve our institutions and make sure we build them up to the point that people have trust. And when you walk into a courtroom, you have no idea who's walking in and who just decided that they would actually show up for jury duty. And I am here to tell you that I still believe in that imperfect but beautiful system.
This is the way to expose The hypocrisy, it's a part of MAGA. I always say MAGA, a member of Donald Trump's pro-family party, cheated on him 3 times, including once when one of his wives was pregnant. One spouse works at a golf course to save him a few dollars. She is now a golf course. Additionally, observe Elon's baby mama drama, which includes his deliberate disregard for his kids. Apparently these people are terrible. When someone is experiencing a health scare, for example, the censorship party is now deciding which journalists can ask the president questions, what they can say, and what words they can and cannot use. Problems. This is frightening stuff, especially in light of the fact that you are supporting Putin and all the other autocrats who will write love letters to Donald Trump. I was about to say that we need more voices like Jasmine Crockett, but I don't think we'll get them. I'm not sure if we'll ever get someone as amazing as Jasmine Crockett, but perhaps we'll get voices like her. She is somewhat at the top, but perhaps we can produce half of her voice if we all join forces, and for that reason we will continue to speak on the show every single day. As always, you can support that by liking this video and clicking the subscribe button. You can leave a blue bar in the comments section if you're still here at the end. Until we meet again, I'll see you soon.